Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about installing Python software in our system. Many useful libraries for computational linguistics are provided by the Python programming language. So it is common that for some typical tasks in language technology you may wish to install some Python library. If you take the programming course, you will be seeing more about this programming language and how to write your own program in it. So, since it's likely that you are going to deal with Python at some point, in this video we are going to see how to make a basic installation. We will also see how to run a simple script written in Python. So, let's first check if you already have the Python interpreter installed. You can run the Python interpreter if it's installed already in your system using the command python. Now, since I didn't receive an error, I already have my Python installed. Here I can see the existing Python's version, and this starts a new interpreter in my system. Now I'm not in my bash anymore. I'm in this interpreter that listens for my Python commands and functions and responds and executes them. I can exit this interpreter using Control D, and now I see my normal prompt. So I'm back to my normal bash prompt. Please take care that these three arrows indicate the Python shell. I will also use them like this in the reading in the script of the video. And this normal prompt, this marks my normal bash shell that we have been using. So other ways of checking if you have the Python installed are, for example, this command. This is also useful for seeing the version of my default Python interpreter, and also I can use which Python to see the location of the Python executable file. So I'm talking about these versions because unfortunately it is not uncommon that there are multiple versions of Python installed in the same system. You will also likely have more than one Python installations. We can check this, for example, under USR local bin. Let me see the commands that start with Python. And as you can see, I have the version 2.7 here and 3.7 here. You can have the same ones, or you can also have different ones and more than one as well. So Python versions 2 and 3 are notoriously incompatible with each other, and this can result in all sorts of clashes. So the version of Python in general is important, and in the next video we will see a way of how to cleanly organize different Python versions. But for now, let's use the default Python installation in my system. My default Python is this one, so 3.7 version. And this is the Python that starts when I run the interpreter here, 3.7.5. So, if you already have a Python interpreter, please start it. If you don't have it yet, then we can install using the apt-get if you are on Linux, or brew if you are on Mac. So, we do the installation like this for Linux, or by giving a version number here if you want a certain specific Python version, and like this in Mac, or giving here the version number if you want a specific version. If you don't yet have an installation, I would suggest opting for Python 3, for example Python 3.7, which would make it easier for some modern libraries. More and more libraries are depending on Python, higher, newer Python versions these days. But anyways, at the end of the video, we will see how we can manage different versions. So, once you have a running Python interpreter, how can you run Python code? Python is an interpreted language, which means there are two ways for running it. One is to open up the Python interpreter and work in it. So this thing that looks like a shell, it waits for a command from us and then runs this command instantly. What we can do here is, for example, we can import a Python module. A Python module is like a Python library. It includes some kind of pre-written software. Also is one of these default modules that comes with Python. It's short for operating system, and it includes useful operating system functions. So I can import this module, and after importing it, I can use the functionality implemented in that module. For example, one functionality that the auth module provides me is get environment variables function. If I call this function with the home variable, it's going to return to me the location of my home. The other way to run some code in Python is to directly invoke the Python interpreter on your code. So for example, if you go to this week's folder, and if we download this code, so this is a typical Python code. I can run this code by using the Python command and then the name of the code file. And this is going to run the code. This is a ASCII code, so it will ASCII-artify whatever string I give to it. Of course, it's also possible if you have the Python executable place here at the beginning of the code. Well, this one is a more advanced usage. This takes the first Python executable from the path. Potentially, this could have been the exact path of my Python environment. Then, assuming I have the necessary permissions, I can directly run this code. The same thing. So, how to do installations regarding Python? Python is very strong because it has one of the richest environments available. It has tons of useful libraries already built and available for your use. Many computational linguistics libraries are available in Python. However, these libraries don't usually come pre-installed. The normal user, the common user, is not going to need these fringe libraries. So when you need a particular functionality, usually you need to search a bit and find the Python package which implements this functionality for you, and then you install this package yourself. A Python package is a structure that organizes Python modules, which are these pre-written codes that other developers have prepared for you. For instance, NLTK is a very famous library in the language technology. So I will go here. It contains multitudes of functionality that you can use for computational linguistics. So if I check the wiki, what is there here? So it has multitudes of the things: dependency parsing, semantic parsing, there is analysis, topic modeling. It's a very general purpose toolkit that you can do many things from. So say I want to use this NLTK toolkit in my Python code. The first thing I should do for using this code in my Python is to import it. I need to import it either if I'm using the interpreter or if I'm using a code file In both of them, I would first need to import this functionality to be able to use it. But since I yet don't have NLTK, since I haven't installed it, if I try to import it, I will get the error that the module has not been found. This may mean two things. Either I haven't yet installed this Python package in my system, or I have installed it in a non-standard location and Python cannot find it. If you are absolutely sure that you have already installed it, then one way to solve this error is to find where you made that installation and add its path to the Python path environment variable in your bash RC. However, typically this shouldn't be needed. Typically, we install modules using the standard Python tools, which already place the installed packages to standard locations that Python can find. For installing Python packages, the easiest way is to use pip. I will exit the interpreter now. So pip is the short for the recursive name, which is pip installed packages. Pip is provided by Python and is able to install and manage Python only packages. So it's important to notice that although this is a package manager, it is not equivalent to apt-get or brew. Apt-get or brew are system level. They can install all sorts of packages. Pip can install only Python packages, but it is very useful. So let's first check if you have pip in your system. You can check it running the command pip, and it gives this information if it's already installed. If you have a Mac and have already installed Python using Homebrew, you should already have pip installed in your system because it comes by default. If you are using a Linux and pip isn't installed yet, then we will first try to do this. Please find the exact command from the script for the video. This is going to bootstrap pip from the standard library. If this doesn't work, you can try to use apt-get for getting pip in your system with this command. If you are looking for specifically to download the pip for Python 3, then you can add a 3 at the end of Python. So once you have pip installed, you can use it to install a module to your Python implementation. And in this case, I will use the name of this Python package. This pip command is usually given in the installation instructions, like in here. We are going to see what this user is later on, but it's generally pip install and the name of the package. So I have already an LTK in my system, so I don't get a installation command here. I say requirements already satisfied, but you are going to see some installation output. So once I have the installation, then starting Python, now I'm able to import this NLTK library. So I will do some simple things that you can do, some example stuff that you can do with your NLTK just as a kind of proportion. For example, there's this sentence. I can tokenize it by importing a ready-made tokenizer from NLTK. So the NLTK library has a module tokenize, from which I'm going to use a word tokenizer function. Okay, note the wrong spelling of the module here. Okay, and now for example, I can use this function word tokenize to tokenize my text like this. Or for example, I can use a post tagger directly from NLTK, which is going to find the functions of these words in the sentence. Or I can use a ready-made lemmatizer that uses WordNet to check the lemmatized versions of the words. And for example, I can say lemmatize corpora for me, and this is noun. Or I can say lemmatize better for me, and this is an adjective. So you will see more about these tasks in general, but tokenizing, post-tagging, and lemmatizing are examples of some very common tasks we always come across, and NLTK is very good for providing this kind of basic functionality. You can read more about it. There are some links in the reading material about it. So back to pip. I will exit the interpreter. Python interpreter is in Control D. So this was very good. I could just directly install NLTK in my system because I have the root privileges in my system. This kind of installation installs the NLTK package directly under some kind of global Python and some side packages under it. But making this kind of global installation may not be possible if you are working in a server like PuTTY or in the university servers when you don't have the administrator level privileges. In that case, it may be useful to know this option of installing for your user only. This is run using pip install for user the NLTK package, and this is only going to make the installation for your own user. You can also make installations with some specific versions. So the versions are very notorious in Python. There are several software that depends on the specific version of a library or higher than some version or lower than some version. So this you can arrange. You will read more about this in the reading material by giving a version number like this. So I want exactly this version, or I want higher and equal than this version, or I want, for example, lower and equal than this version. So we said that there can be multiple versions of Python in your system. It is possible to work with them in parallel. This is not recommended because it becomes a mess very quickly. So as I said in the next video, we are going to see a better way of doing it. But it is possible to work with more than one versions in theory. You can run a specific version of Python giving a version number. So this command is going to run the default second version of Python. This command is going to run this specifically 2.7th version of Python. Python 3 is going to run the default Python 3 version, which is in my case this, and say Python 3.7 if I have one is going to run that version. Now you may want to install a library for a specific Python version, for example, because that library only works with that version. You can do this by invoking pip for that Python version only using the Python command and then -m pip and install an package name. Or to run pip for the version 2.7, or run it for the default third version, or run it for the version 3.7. This is in general not a great idea. It becomes a mess very quickly, and Python is very dependent on the version and in general not backwards compatible. It is not recommended to mix global Python versions with each other. But you may actually need different Python versions for different projects, or sometimes you may need different versions of the same library for different projects. In general, versions change so fast in these days that the whole global installation can become a mess very quickly, and hence we will need to use some virtual environments to handle this mess, and we will see about them in the next video.